Do you believe homes will ever be affordable again? The only realistic way to make homes more affordable is to build so many of them that the market gets saturated. However, you would have to convince companies to shoot themselves in the foot by building that much. Not until mass house building takes off. The housing crisis is a supply crisis. There isn't enough housing in the places where people want to live, so prices increase. Building more housing in these places would rectify this, but this is politically unpopular and would require politically unpopular changes such as significant changes to planning laws and construction of more infrastructure. Sure, eventually supply will catch up with demand. It could take a decade or more. We bought our current house in 1983. I don't remember our exact interest rate on our mortgage, but it was around 13. They won't go down much. People say it's a bubble, but it's not. The whole world got more expensive while salaries didn't go up. However, people who already had assets did get the benefit, and they can still afford houses by selling their old one. There is not a mass shortage of buyers who are willing to keep paying these prices, therefore they keep selling. Consumerism is booming as well. The economy isn't correcting for the sharp inflation, it's just become the normal. It fucking sucks, but it's the reality. I don't think the governments care enough to do anything about it anytime soon. I would expect in the future though that we will see first-time home owner programs be revised, or created in countries without them, to include more tax credits or reduced interest rate loans. Not unless protection laws are passed. For example, preventing investors from buying up everything and renting it. Rent control as well. Edit. Workplaces need to get better at letting people work fully remote or actually putting their business somewhere outside of the CBD. I'm in Australia and every workplace is in the CBD, even the ones that used to be out in rural areas always shut up and move to the CBD. Because you'll get more applicants for roles, but it's not sustainable having that many people travel in and out, commuting 10 hours a week to their office. If the work was more spread out, housing would be much better. I absolutely do. Watch interest rates. Right now things are tight. I know the game is stupid, but you have to play the hand you're dealt. I love how people act like this is the first time housing costs have been through the roof. The market has always gone way up and way down. I can't remember the year, but sometime in the early 2000s this happened. My old boss bought a house for $98,000 in 1991. In the early 2000s, without doing any upgrades, he sold it for nearly $400,000. In 2010, my dad paid $215,000 for that same house. Yes and no. There's 100 affordable housing out there. It's just not in places people want to live. The problem is all the jobs get conglomerated in or near cities. When there are more houses or fewer people, prices will go down. Having the government build lots of houses and selling them cheap to the public is probably about the nearest thing to a practical solution. Reducing the number of people might be possible, but would probably require evil methods. Stopping people from buying to rent makes renting more expensive, which means more people will be trying to stop renting and buy instead. It probably wouldn't make much difference to housing costs. As long as demand exceeds supply, you can only have high prices or long waiting lists. The problem is, the government doesn't want prices to go down because that causes real problems for homeowners with mortgages. People rich enough to own houses are more reliable voters and party donors. Renters could, if they all worked together, force the government to do this, but they probably won't. Realistically, housing affordability isn't just about prices dropping. It's about wage growth keeping pace with living costs. Until we see a significant shift in the economy where wages rise substantially or the cost of living falls, the dream of homeownership will remain distant for many. Even if prices dip temporarily, without systemic changes, we'd be back to square one soon enough. It's a multifaceted issue that demands a multifaceted solution that includes housing policies, economic reform, and perhaps a dose of innovative thinking on urban development and remote work opportunities. Yes, at some point the population will start decreasing and homes will become more affordable since there won't be enough people to buy them. Like, what the fuck do people think is going to happen when the boomers all die out? Every successive generation has been smaller. The national homeownership to renter ratio is about 2-to-1. This means that for every renter, you have 2 owners. I believe that for any disruption in the housing market to take place, whether at the state or national level, this ratio must dramatically reverse at the corresponding level. The thing about the residential real estate market is that it tends to fix itself, with relatively short periods of dips and spikes, in order to maintain that ratio. That ratio has been floating around the same level since 1960, yet prices have been trending up at a rate higher than inflation since then. So what changed? The answer is social media. Because of it, the minority can connect and become louder, making you feel that there are far too many people in the same boat than there used to be, which is not true. They will go down in price when the government has enough balls to make it illegal for corporations and foreigners to buy up houses and use them as short-term rental properties or capitalize on the shortage price hikes they have created. Read an article recently that said 23% of housing in Canada is corporate-owned. That's not all the problem, but is a big part of it. We need laws to ban corpos and foreign investors from buying properties before locals can. Yes, I, as a Zennial, have faith that Gen Z is going to be able to burn the whole fucking thing to the ground. They are the first generation born and raised with the American dream being a topic in a textbook, not an aspirational reality for them. They have no reason to keep the lie going, so they'll do what needs to be done. If the government tries to assist, home prices will go up like government assistance college tuitions. As others have said, there are plenty of affordable homes, just not in areas you like. For instance, I live in upstate New York, and you get a nice, small 1,000 SQFT starter home here in a safe neighborhood for $125K. The only time home prices will go down if we stop treating housing as an investment. Corporations are partly to blame, but it's the NIMBY who are obsessed with trying to make millions off of selling their house. Yes, a lot of the older generation will either die off or be forced to sell to live elsewhere. It will get to a point where they'll have to take whatever offer they can get. Granted, this won't be anytime soon. I'd guess in a decade or two. If people can buy them, they are affordable. You are just poorer than most. I don't expect housing to decrease. Maybe interest rates, but even then unlikely. If they do become affordable, many of the sidelines will pee in and raise demand cost. Also be careful with wishes of government involvement. It doesn't always work for the better. At best, wages will catch up with inflation. That is what inflation does. It extracts wealth from people by devaluing our money. That is why you have to watch reckless spending and insufficient funds. Of course, just wait for the old people to die off. I don't know what the exact price will do, but yes, I think they will go down relative to income, because of the population demographics. We have a large population of people between the age of 45 and 65 and up who own homes who will be reaching the age of needing medical care round the clock, and their kids cannot provide it because they cannot stop working, which will force them to sell their house unless we have socialized healthcare. We also have a declining birth rate. Right now, lots of new houses are being built to accommodate the millennial baby boom, and we have lots of boomers still occupying their family homes, but as both of those groups get older, we will likely have a surplus. However, the market can be artificially controlled, they can be torn down for being uninhabitable, they can be bought by investors and bulldozed for other uses, etc. I don't know what will happen, but I'm not super optimistic about the future in general. Nope, time to get creative about living solutions. Something will have to change. Developers overbuilt high-end housing, and there are too many empty. Price is still high because they need to recover the investment. Too big to fail bailout started this path. Rich losing investments, so they got government welfare. Then they buy up affordable places to make into rentals and double and triple the rent. Laws are passed requiring salary 3 to 4 times more than rent. Where do they think these people will get that money to live there?